Welcome back to KDramaVerse, your favorite space where we don't just follow the headlines, we decode them. If you've been refreshing your timeline, scrolling through fan forums at 2 a.m., or debating in comments sections, then you already know this story has taken a turn. 1 month ago, the internet exploded with shock, confusion, and heated opinions over the tax controversy surrounding Cha Eun Woo. Today, the energy feels different. The noise hasn't disappeared, but the tone has shifted. What started as accusations is now turning into analysis. And tonight, we're breaking it all down together. First, let's rewind the clock. When reports surfaced linking Cha Eun Woo to alleged tax issues, the initial reaction online was immediate and emotional. Social media thrives on speed, not patience. Within hours, keywords were trending. Screenshots were circulating. Speculation moved faster than facts. The narrative at that moment wasn't about legal clarification. It was about shock value. Fans were stunned. Casual observers were skeptical. Critics were loud. And in the middle of it all was an artist whose image had long been associated with discipline, professionalism, and a near-spotless public reputation. But here's the question I want you to think about: why do controversies involving clean image celebrities feel louder than others? Is it because expectations are higher? Or because the contrast feels dramatic? Drop your thoughts in the comments as we go. In the first week, most discussions weren't about technical tax procedures or accounting complexities. They were about morality. Words like disappointed, betrayed, and shocked were used before official clarifications even settled in. That's the power of digital culture. Reaction precedes reflection. However, as days passed, something interesting happened. The intensity began to stabilize. Media outlets shifted their tone from sensational headlines to explanatory pieces. Financial experts began weighing in. Legal commentators started discussing how tax audits function within South Korea's entertainment industry. The conversation matured. Instead of "is he guilty?" the question slowly became "what exactly happened?" This is where the narrative transformation truly began. Tax controversies, especially involving public figures, are rarely black and white. In many cases, they involve audits, discrepancies, interpretation differences, or administrative adjustments rather than criminal intent. But in the first 48 hours, that nuance rarely survives. Social media thrives on clarity, heroes or villains, not procedural gray areas. Over the past month, more detailed information emerged. Discussions began focusing on whether the situation involved intentional wrongdoing or routine audit reassessments. Analysts explained that tax reviews for high-earning entertainers are common, particularly when income streams include brand endorsements, overseas promotions, drama projects, and corporate investments. For someone at the level of Cha Eun Woo, whose career spans acting, music, endorsements, and international activities, financial structures can become highly complex. Think about it: acting fees, OST royalties, appearance payments, global ambassador contracts, overseas schedules, all flowing through different entities and agencies. The average fan doesn't see that complexity. We see airport photos, drama still cuts, award speeches. We don't see accountants, documentation, and regulatory filings. And as more people began understanding that complexity, the outrage softened into inquiry. You might have noticed something else. The comments sections changed tone. Early comments were emotionally charged. Now, they're more analytical. Fans are asking about the legal process. They're comparing this case to past industry tax audits. They're referencing how other celebrities navigated similar scrutiny. The conversation evolved from cancel or defend to understand and assess. Isn't that fascinating? There's also a larger cultural conversation happening beneath the surface. South Korea's entertainment industry operates under intense public scrutiny. Public figures are often expected to embody not just talent but moral precision. A single controversy can ripple across endorsements, casting decisions, and brand partnerships. That's why the initial reaction felt so heavy. But 1 month later, we're seeing resilience in narrative management. Agencies have been more structured in their communication. Statements have clarified procedural aspects. And importantly, there hasn't been an escalation of new allegations. When controversies don't snowball, public attention naturally shifts from outrage to evaluation. Another factor influencing this shift is time itself. In the digital age, attention cycles move quickly. What feels explosive in week 1 can feel distant by week 4 unless new developments reignite it. Without dramatic updates, audiences begin revisiting the situation more calmly. Let's talk about reputation capital. Cha Eun Woo's career didn't rise overnight. Years of consistent work in dramas, music promotions, brand ambassadorships, and public appearances built a strong goodwill reserve. Reputation works like emotional savings. When controversy hits, that reserve influences how long support holds. Ask yourself, if this controversy had involved a celebrity already known for repeated scandals, would the narrative have softened this way? Or would it have intensified? Fans often operate with emotional loyalty. But there's also strategic loyalty. Supporters began emphasizing his past professionalism, charitable engagements, and work ethic. Old interviews resurfaced. Behind-the-scenes clips circulated. The digital space began reminding itself of the broader picture. And then came the analytical threads. Long posts explaining tax law nuances. Translations of legal terminology. Comparisons with historical cases in the Korean entertainment industry. This wasn't blind defense anymore, it was contextualization. Interestingly, even some critics shifted tone. Instead of harsh moral condemnation, discussions focused on accountability processes. If adjustments were required, would they be settled? If penalties were assessed, would they be paid? The emphasis moved toward resolution rather than judgment. This shift reflects something bigger about modern fandom culture. Fans today are not just emotional supporters, many are informed researchers. They fact-check, translate, archive, and analyze. The same platforms that amplify outrage can also host detailed breakdowns. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: public image and corporate partnerships. Brand endorsements are sensitive to controversy. Yet in this case, we haven't witnessed a massive wave of public brand withdrawals. That alone signaled to analysts that the situation might not be as catastrophic as initial headlines implied. Corporations conduct their own risk assessments. Their relative calm suggested that the internal evaluation differed from the online frenzy. That doesn't mean controversies are harmless. They can leave reputational dents. But dents are different from fractures. Another important element is silent strategy. Notice how measured communication replaced reactive messaging. In the early days, constant statements can fuel further debate. Over time, a more reserved, fact-based approach often stabilizes narratives. Silence, when strategic, allows speculation to exhaust itself. Let me ask you something directly. Do you think public figures owe immediate detailed explanations the moment controversy surfaces? Or should due process come first? I genuinely want to know what you think. We're also witnessing a broader trend: audiences becoming more skeptical of viral outrage cycles. After years of witnessing premature condemnations later proven exaggerated, many viewers now pause before forming conclusions. That cultural shift played a role here. And let's not ignore media evolution. Initial headlines leaned dramatic. Follow-up pieces leaned educational. Words matter. Controversy draws clicks. Audit review invites analysis. That subtle linguistic transition shapes perception. There's another layer to international fandom versus domestic discourse. Global fans often rely on translations and summaries, which can intensify early misunderstandings. As more accurate translations circulate, interpretations stabilize. That's part of what happened over the month. From a psychological standpoint, people seek cognitive closure. The first stage of controversy leaves too many unknowns, creating anxiety. As facts accumulate, even if incomplete, anxiety decreases. We replace assumptions with structure. What we're seeing now is narrative recalibration. No longer is the dominant question, is this the end? Instead, it's, what does this mean long-term? That's a huge difference. Long-term impact depends on transparency, compliance, and public trust restoration. If processes conclude without severe legal consequences, memory softens. Entertainment history shows us that many careers survive tax controversies if resolved responsibly. The key distinction is intent versus oversight. Intent implies deliberate evasion. Oversight suggests administrative complexity. The public tone suggests many now lean toward the latter interpretation, though official processes ultimately determine outcomes. As content creators here at KDramaVerse, our role isn't to inflame but to interpret. Stories evolve. And it's important to track not just what happened, but how conversation changes. 1 month ago, accusations dominated. Today, analysis leads. That shift reflects maturity in discourse, or perhaps fatigue with outrage. Either way, it's notable. Before we wrap up, I want you to reflect on something bigger. In the age of instant judgment, how do we balance accountability with fairness? How do we hold public figures responsible while avoiding premature condemnation? The Cha Eun Woo tax controversy isn't just about numbers or paperwork. It's a case study in digital narrative evolution. It shows how perception forms, escalates, stabilizes, and transforms. And whether you're a devoted fan, a neutral observer, or a skeptic, one thing is undeniable: the story is no longer fueled by shock alone. It's being filtered through context, law, industry practice, and time. So tell me, do you think this narrative shift signals closure? Or is it simply the calm before another update? Drop your predictions below. Let's have a real discussion. If you appreciate balanced breakdowns instead of rushed reactions, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for KDramaVerse. Because here, we don't just follow the wave, we study the tide. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.